New year, same phone, but different. Hey guys, Dalevon Digital here, and let's open up this video by talking about the bad things about this device. And I don't really mean bad things, I just want to talk about my experience. Out of the box, this phone was lagging or stuttering. I didn't know what was going on after I set the device up. It was acting weird for a few days, so I decided to reset the phone. After I reset the phone, everything seemed to be ironed out and it was smooth as butter. The experience was great. Then the April update came, which was a large update. And then right after the update, my phone went right back to being stuttery and laggy and everything else. And I was just like, okay, so I'm sharing my experience to everyone on Twitter and people are like, my phone's not doing it, my phone's not doing it. But that doesn't help at all, obviously. So I decided to just do one more reset because maybe I had a bad unit. That's what I was going to chop it up to. So after I did that, I resetted the phone one more time. And just for your information, I never restore anything. I clean install everything. Full factory reset, sign into all my apps, download all my apps, sign into my accounts. That's how you do a clean install. And that's what I do with every device that I ever use. I never restore. In fact, sometimes I don't even care to back up because I'm not going to restore it anyways. I don't even know why I back up stuff. I mean, photos and stuff is on Google Photos and stuff like that, so I don't worry about anything. With that being said, after that last reset, the device has been flawless. I mean, this device, we're gonna get more into that in the video. Now, what I mean by the same but different is that the performance is what's the biggest change this year for the Galaxy S23 Ultra. The Gen 2 chip has took this phone to the next level of any Samsung phone that I've ever used, period. There's no Samsung phone that is as fluent, smooth, and as power performance as this one. Like none. They did a really good job with this, and I have no complaints about any of the performance in this chip and everything. The subtle changes that they made by making it more boxy and making the cameras bigger, you know, those are some nice changes, but it's really what's powering this device is what's giving you that full-blown power. And I gotta say that this phone really flies. It's hard to get this thing to lag, and if I'm honest, it can stutter and have lags every so often, but that's every phone. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I own the device ever from any brand that didn't have a lag or stutter in it. It does, but is it one of those situations where you're like,
oh, this thing is a piece of crap, let me throw it out the window because it's always lagging over the place?
No, I would safely say that Samsung lag has been gone for a long time. And this is basically on par with other brands that has lag or whatever. Because, you know, software can be a little bit inconsistent between, you know, everyone, and everyone's using different apps. But just to be honest with you, I have no problem with any performances with this phone at all. It's been pretty solid ever since my last two resets. Had no issues. And if anybody is having issues with it, I just advise you to reset, restore. Don't restore, sorry. Reset it and don't restore. And you should have a great experience because I'm loving the experience that I'm getting out of this device, and you should be able to enjoy the same experience as everyone else. I want to talk about the S Pen. I mean, you really can't talk about this phone without really kind of talking about the S Pen. It's not much I can say about it that you haven't already heard. We already know the gestures, the features, and that you get, but I just want to tell you a story, right? It was a cool story. So I'm at a meeting at my job, and everyone's sitting there, you know, with pens and papers and everything like that. And, you know, our boss was like, hey, you know, even though I am a boss too, but I got a bigger boss. But he was like, hey man, it's good if you have paper and stuff and blah, 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 you know, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't notice that I had my S Pen out, you know, to get notes down, and I had my phone sitting there, and I had this in my hand because it's black. You barely can see it. So he didn't even notice. And then like when he was saying stuff, I was actually jotting stuff down from the meeting and everything like that. But then in the meeting, literally called me out because I was the only one that didn't have pen and paper. And normally at these meetings, I normally carry my iPad or I carry my Galaxy tablet with me. But I was like, you know what? I got the Ultra. I don't need none of that. I could just take the Ultra in there. So I went in there and I was sitting down. I'm the only one with my phone on the table table with a pen in my hand while everyone else got notepads and paper. And boom, I'm sitting here writing down notes, and I showed him. He was like, oh man, that's cool. What kind of phone you got, man? And you know, cause it's kind of country, what kind of phone you got, man? And I was like, yo, it's a note. That's what I told him. I said a note. I didn't even say the Ultra. I just made it so simple because like if I said the S23 Ultra, it'd just confuse me. I just said Samsung Note, and he was like, oh, okay. And he said, that's pretty rad. And then, you know, went back to continue on with the meeting and stuff like that because he thought I wasn't taking the information. But I thought that was pretty cool. What I'm saying, the whole point is that the S Pen is very useful for certain situations, and whatever it is that you want to do. I'm not going to deep dive into this S Pen. It's great and I like it. Next, I'm going to sum a few things up because things that I really like about this device is like the display, how bright it get, how good it looks. I mean, Samsung makes some of the best displays, if not the best display on the market. And I never ever, and I mean, since the S3 days, never had a problem with a Samsung display. They always been really great. I love it. And I want to also talk about the fingerprint reader. So I've been using a Pixel, so I really miss the ultrasonic fingerprint. It is fast. I love how fast it is. I love how it works even if my finger is quite, you know, a little bit wet or whatever the case may be. It's just really good, and I really miss it, and it's like a really great feature to have. I do love the design of this phone. I love the box feel. I kind of wish that my Pixel had this box feel now. Moving forward, I wish that every phone actually had this box feel. Samsung really nailed it in the design language of this phone, and even last year's model I actually enjoyed a lot, but this one right here, they just took it up a notch by giving it a little bit more of a box feel, and I love the weight of this phone and everything. It just feels, it reeks premium. So those are like the little things that I do appreciate that Samsung does. Let's not forget about how bad TouchWiz was back in the days, because the software experience that we get today, it feels like a whole new Samsung. Animations are better, the fluidity is better, the speed, the smoothness, everything about this phone is so much better. And they did a really good job with their UI. Now, this UI situation, it's a hit or miss or give or take when it comes to this UI. Some love it, some don't. Some use the launcher, some don't. Some love it. I actually love the new UI. I have no issues with it. I love the customization that you get. In fact, most phones that I use now that's at least Android based, I stick with stock because I'm pretty much happy with the UI. Not fully happy with all the UIs that's out there because some things won't let me do certain things, but Samsung gives you everything. You think it, you can do it. If you can't do it, you can find a way to do it. The UI is that verbose, and I really love it. And I like what they do with, you know, One UI 5 right now. It's incredible, and I'm excited about One UI 6 and moving forward and everything that Samsung actually has to offer. I'm not like some super fan of you know, Samsung or anything like that, but this is just a guy who's been enjoying this phone, and I can admit that this phone is probably going to be my selection for phone of the year, just based off everything that I'm talking about today in this video, because it is incredible. I mean, just truly incredible, and I have a hard time putting this phone down. So software is really great, and I'm shocked how good the software is on this phone. I mean, I've been using Samsung since Samsung, literally Samsung since Samsung, and I've experienced all the lag. I experienced, you know, all the hiccups, the breaks, the reboots. I experienced everything bad, everything that's bad about Samsung, and now we have this. Next thing I want to talk about is battery. Battery is a touchy subject because I could sit here and run all the tests against other phones or do drain tests and do all this and all these tests, but it wouldn't matter because you and I, we both use our phones differently. So whatever apps that you have up there, I'm not sharing those same apps. You can have apps that give, you know, that drains your battery, or you can use GPS all day, or you could be a gamer all day. You can be, you know, just a guy who records videos all day on your phone. It could be any type of scenario situation that's different from my usage and your usage. So therefore, it's kind of hard to judge the battery. So if you want a rough draft of how the battery holds up for me, it lasts me throughout the whole entire day. I can probably easily go a second day, but that's not every day because some days are heavier than others and some days are lighter than others. And I roughly get somewhere between 7 to 10 hours screen on time. And this is not every day because when I use my phone, I get more screen on time. When I don't use my phone, I get less screen on time because it's just draining in the background with me not doing anything. So battery, no complaints. This is the best phone I've ever had that has given me the longest battery. All right. I know you guys was ready for this part right here. I know you was. I really wasn't prepared to talk about this part, because this part right here will probably make you upset. First, I want to say that I love the camera. I love the camera. I love all of the camera. I love everything that you can do with the camera. I love all the features that you get. I love the portrait mode. It is my favorite portrait mode on any phone out there. Like any phone out there that I've used. I love the zoom features. I love the video features. I love 8K, 4K, 6K, 80K, whatever. I love it all. This camera is phenomenal. But Samsung has a real shutter speed problem. And I don't mean shutter lag. I'm not going to carry on that narrative anymore saying that this phone has shutter lag. After looking at the data and pictures that I've taken over time, I noticed that Samsung has been picking really slow shutter speeds all the way down 1 to 60. The average speed that you want, the minimal speed that you want when taking a picture of a moving subject that you want to completely freeze, you want at least 250 of a second. That's how fast you want your shutter to be. Samsung's algorithm makes bad decisions. So I don't want to say that this phone has a shutter lag issue. That is completely dead. That's gone. It's picking the wrong shutter speeds in some scenarios. Some, not all. I have taken successful pictures of people in cars or whatever in motion, but then sometimes it doesn't select the right decision because it's like prioritizing light over everything. Literally, it's trying to, and if you look at your pictures, if you're an owner, if you look at your pictures, a lot of your pictures are bright. Samsung focuses on bright. And I encourage you, go through your gallery, look at the shutter speeds that Samsung is picking, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I know if you're watching this, you also have some blurry pictures. We all do. My Pixel takes blurry pictures sometimes. My iPhone does. You do. And Samsung is not exempt from that. But just look at the shutter speeds that they are choosing. In some situations, Samsung would get it spot on. Then there's some situations where they're just completely off. Like, why did you choose this slow shutter speed? But they were trying to give me more light, especially like my indoor shots and everything like that. So that is the real gripe that I have with this camera. And yes, I know about Good Lock, Camera Assist, and all the other features that you can do. This is the thing. I'm sorry, this is the rant part of the video. This is the thing. As a average consumer, not a techie, I'm throwing that out the window. I want a phone that I can open my camera app, take a picture, and not think about it, and know that the picture is going to come out as I expected it to come out. That's it. I shouldn't have to be a consumer and have to go online to find out about some Camera Assist and Good Lock and tweak all of this stuff like that to increase everything to try to get a good picture. Out of the box with my iPhone, out of the box with my Pixel, I can take a picture out of the box. I don't have to go into any settings and change nothing. Out of the box, it works almost 99.99% of the time. Samsung, out of the box, it can work probably 80% of the time. Or maybe 90. I'd give them 90% of the time. But then there's those situations where you have to go into these settings and you have to change this, you have to change this. And people are encouraging you to do that. As a person who loves Samsung, there's other Samsung users encouraging other Samsung people or other people who's complaining about this to go in and do all of this so they can get a good picture. Or they will show you that they took a picture of somebody moving with no problem. That doesn't fix your problem. That doesn't fix the algorithm. That doesn't fix the auto mode or whatever. And if you shoot in 50 megapixel mode, 200 megapixel mode, or 12 megapixel mode, I'm sorry, then they're gonna be like, well, you should have switched to that mode. Maybe it's that mode. Maybe it's that mode. No, bro, like it should just work. And no matter what mode, it should just work across the board. That is the reality. And I really wish that one day Samsung fixed this issue, because it is an issue nonetheless. With all that being said though, I love this camera. It is an amazing camera. And to be honest with you, anybody who owns a Galaxy phone would really enjoy this camera. And I have really no other complaints about this camera and how it functions or how it works, and the versatility that you get and everything. The utility behind this camera and all of this software is phenomenal. And that is all. It is a great shooter. It is probably one of the best shooters out there in the market, period, with that one gripe. So here's my conclusion. If you, a Samsung user, I know you are really enjoying this phone a lot, because I enjoy this phone so much, and I'm not even a Samsung user anymore, and I cannot put this phone down. This phone is in my pocket every single day, and I always find an excuse to take a picture of something, just any random thing, and I love just picking it up and just going through the OS just because how smooth it is, how good it feels, and how beautiful the screen is, and how great the speakers sound, and how good the camera quality is, and just everything about this phone just makes me want to just keep picking it up and just holding it in my hand and using it for no dang reason. Just like picking it up and looking at it. That's it. So I want to say for $1,200, I think this is a really good deal, but does it feel like a $1,200 phone? Probably not. I feel like Samsung could bring the price down by $200 or $100 or whatever, but I mean, to be honest with you, who's really buying this phone at $1,200 besides a lot of us tech people? Average consumer is probably walking into any carrier and financing this phone for $40 a month anyways. So through and through, it's a great deal, great phone. I recommend it. I highly recommend it. It's a really, if you got the Galaxy S22 Ultra and you loving that right now, I promise you, I still do own the S22 Ultra, and the S23 Ultra is a upgrade. It is worth it. It is worth the money, at least to me. If you have the money, go for it. If you don't, you will be totally fine with your Galaxy S22 Ultra. But I'm telling you now, this phone actually feels like an upgrade, and I can honestly sit there and say that. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Dalevon Digital, peace.